Ahsan, welcome to the Leanpub launch video for Zero to Website, a beginner's guide to building for the web. I was wondering if you could take a moment to talk to us a little bit about yourself and who you are and what you do and what your book is about and who it's for.
Absolutely, yes. So my name is Mohammed Ahsan. I'm originally from the city Karachi from Pakistan, and I've been living in Stockholm, Sweden for the past 7 years. I'm a Google acknowledged expert in AI and specifically Angular. I've been acknowledged by Google as an expert in Angular for more than 7 years now. And an author of 4 books. I also am an author of libraries, which have a cumulative of 14 million installs on NPM and more than 5,000 projects on GitHub using those. So I really am passionate about sharing the knowledge, especially the bits where I get stuck so others don't have to.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, your book exactly hits that sweet spot of truly for beginners. I'm sure you've seen this and heard this a million times, where like so many kind of, especially programming or web development books are like, this is for beginners, and it immediately starts off with some technical assumption that and your book is very good about that, and it has the accompanying website as well, z2website.com. And of course, people can find the accompanying, code samples and stuff like that online on GitHub. And you also have an amazing YouTube channel, Code with Ahsan on at Code with Ahsan on YouTube, which has, I'm looking at it now, 36,000 subscribers, but many millions of views and stuff like that. So your book is, you know what you're doing when it comes to teaching, and you've spoken at so many conferences and all that kind of stuff. But so with that all said, the first question I want to ask is, if someone is like going from zero to a website, what's the first thing you want to teach them?
Absolutely. I think learning has changed throughout the past couple of years quite a lot, especially when it has come to like AI and how you use it. And the biggest problem I see among developers, both juniors and seniors, is that everybody, after going through a session with AI, feels like they don't know what they have done and they forget about it and they don't really feel like they're learning. And one of the best things, as you mentioned, comes with this book is this AI companion application where I've specialized an AI that I call Socratic AI, which doesn't give you the answers directly, which makes you think. So it will ask you questions like, what do you think line 30 should have that starts with an H tag? And then you would be thinking, okay, it could be a header, it could be heading, it could be H1, H2. So those are the kind of things that it would ask you until you reach the answer. So I would definitely say that this whole idea of how everyone learns today has become more practical, but has also become more of you reviewing and reflecting. And that is what the book and the AI companion app gives you today.
Yeah, that's the brilliant description you have on the website is right from the start, master web development with an AI tutor that teaches, not just builds. And I really love that. I can say particularly as a kind of like when I started using kind of what we now call AI a couple of years ago, I was not a beginner, but I was also not a programmer, but I had many years of talking to programmers and working with programmers and finding bugs and communicating them and things like that. So I had some understanding of the functionality at least, but I've always felt this just gap. Like I actually, if you actually had to ask me 3 questions deep, how is this actually working? I just wouldn't be able to answer. And I've always had this nagging kind of voice in the back of my head about not really knowing.
Yeah, that's so true. And it's funny that a lot of developers, especially freshers, they're too afraid to fail. They're like, we're getting stuck so many times, it's not working as I intended. And the fun part is that that is exactly the learning. A difference between a software architect and some junior is the amount of problems they've gotten stuck into, and then they solved it. So that is what I'm trying to portray as well. You see the questions that AI asks you, you see the problem, the errors, and then you try to solve them. And that is the most effective way of learning. And as you mentioned, and you reflected on that as well.
And yeah, and just the last question I have for you is, in all your years of teaching and experience of people reading your books and things like that, what's the sort of, just so people don't feel so alone when they run into a kind of, they get confused the first time or something. What's the most common kind of thing that people just have a hard time wrapping their head around when it comes to how the web works or web development?
I think it is how the end users want your app to be. I think
Mm.
that is something that we usually miss quite a lot. We have this sort of isolated view of being a developer. We are too technical. But when it comes to, does your app actually work? Are the things on the application where they should be? Is it performant? Is it costing users a lot of network data, for example? I think those are the things that are fundamentals to who would end up using your application, and you have to have that empathy but also knowledge. And I think that also is something that this books really gives.
Well, what a great place to end is with a perfect answer to a question. The book is Zero to Website, A Beginner's Guide to Building for the Web, and it has all kinds of companion materials and stuff like that. And I definitely recommend you check out the website, z2website.com. Thank you very much for taking the time to do this short launch video with me today to help everyone understand what the amazing book that you've written.